In this video, we're going to talk about the Ultimea Poseidon E100 and how it's playing a different game than others in the projector world. It's got real brightness, real color depth, and it actually remembers that 3D is still a thing. But here's the catch. It's also got a dual personality disorder in its software that might make you want to consider your life's choices at times. If you want a real cinema experience without the €5,000 price tag, you need to know exactly where this thing shines and where it completely falls apart. First and most important part is the DLP, or Digital Light Processing. That's basically the only reason we're even looking at the E100 today. Well, that and the 3D function if you are into stuff like this as I am. While a lot of solid and affordable projectors use single LCD panels, the E100 steps up with a 0.47-inch DMD chip. Instead of passing light through a liquid crystal layer, it uses millions of microscopic mirrors to reflect the image. The practical benefit here is 90% brightness uniformity. On many standard LCD models, you often see a drop in brightness or focus toward the edges of the screen, but with this DLP engine, the corners stay as sharp as the center. At over €850, this isn't exactly a casual purchase. It's a budget entry within the high-end category of DLP and 3D projectors, but compared to the more common LCD units I've reviewed, this is a significant step up in both price and hardware complexity. And that brings us to the real question. Does the performance justify that €850 price tag, or are you just paying for a fancy set of mirrors? When you step into this price bracket, the expectations shift. While on a cheaper LCD, you might forgive the gray blacks and the fuzzy blurry corners, here you shouldn't. The E100 delivers on the DLP promise with a contrast ratio and color depth that makes those cheaper units look like toys. But because it sits in this awkward middle ground, cheaper than a €2,000 BenQ but quadruple the price of a generic smart projector, it has to be flawless. And unfortunately, as we're about to see, the hardware is writing checks that the software can't always cash. The frustration starts when you realize the E100 suffers from a massive personality disorder. Like most projectors with Google TV, it runs in parallel with Android TV. In a perfect world, these two would talk to each other, sharing settings and splitting tasks behind the scenes. But instead of a seamless experience, you're constantly fighting a double interface where the bridge is completely missing. Everything in the basic Android UI can already be accessed or installed directly within Google TV, making this secondary layer feel entirely pointless. I wouldn't even mind the redundancy if it actually worked, but it doesn't. You have to manually make the switch every time you want to access the Google TV features, and even the simplest things like volume control are a mess. You can have the volume perfectly leveled or even muted in one UI only to switch interfaces and get unexpectedly blasted at max volume in the other. This lack of communication extends to the image itself. Google TV has its own software-level image processing, while the underlying Android system has its own native hardware HDR tools. If you have HDR enabled on the main system, and then jump into Google TV and enable it there too, the settings will stack. Even the remote is caught in the crossfire. It's a hybrid device that uses infrared for the system-level Android menus but relies on Bluetooth once you're inside the Google TV interface. Trying to figure out which protocol is active or why your image settings didn't carry over is a game you don't want to play, especially not 2 minutes before movie night with the family. Then there's the 3D. This and the DLP are the two main reasons to buy this unit. With a decent pair of active shutter glasses, the depth is incredible. It's immersive, it's fun, and it's better than most TVs. But Ultimea's smart features are the enemy of 3D. The moment you toggle 3D mode, the projector kills all digital adjustments. No auto keystone, no manual corner correction, nothing. If you've used the digital zoom to fit your screen, 3D mode will reset it. To get a good 3D image, you have to go old school manual. You have to physically move the projector, prop it up with books, or adjust your tripod until it is perfectly parallel and centered with your wall. If you try to cheat with digital keystone, the 3D effect breaks. In terms of performance, the 1800 ANSI lumens are legit. You don't need a black hole of a room to see the image, though for 3D darker is always better. As for the physical unit, it's a bit on the bulky side. It's a boxy, cube-shaped beast. I'm not a big fan of this aesthetic. It feels a bit dated and takes up a lot of room on a shelf. But hey, once the lights go out and the 3D kicks in, you won't be looking at the plastic case anyway. So, is it a pass or a buy? If you just want a simple projector to stream YouTube and you don't care about 3D, Pass. The software friction between the two operating systems is too annoying for a casual user. There are sleeker, more unified options for that. But if you are a movie enthusiast who wants the best experience possible at an affordable price, with real DLP contrast and a genuine 3D experience, this is definitely a buy. You just have to accept the trade-off. You are the keystone correction. Align it physically, stick to the local OS for your high-quality files, and you'll have a theater-grade image for a fraction of the price of the big brands.